Getting Answers from Sacramento's most watched late news. This is the CBS 13 News at 10.
We want to vote! 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 We want to vote!
Tonight, people living in Dixon are upset. They say they're being denied the right to vote on a controversial sewer rate hike.
So we're here to say, hey, that's our constitutional right, and you're taking it from us.
Protesters say they've collected enough signatures to get a measure on the November ballot, but the city threw those signatures out. Good evening, I'm Sam Shane.
And I'm Shannon Bernius, only on CBS 13. Nick James is live outside Dixon City Hall, getting answers on why residents say their rights are going down the drain.
Hey guys, it's awfully quiet out here now, but as you just heard and saw, it was awfully noisy earlier in advance of tonight's city council meeting, as these protesters are claiming the city is trying to silence them.
Vote! Vote! We want to vote!
Determined to be heard, dozens of protesters marched to Dixon City Hall.
And that's why we're all here today to address the city council and make sure that they don't listen to the advice of a really bad attorney. And I hope they learn from this and get rid of this clown.
Richard Ropiak's obvious frustration comes after he helped collect signatures.
146 pages of signatures.
So residents could vote this November on Dixon's plan to double sewer rates, on average from $24 to $48. However, protesters say those signatures were improperly tossed out by the city on a technicality. What's the city's response to that?
Didn't. I mean, we did a long analysis. We looked at it. It was actually a fairly easy case.
City Attorney Doug White says there's clear evidence some necessary paperwork was missing from the petition.
They didn't include specific things like the rates that are being changed,
which these fired up residents insist is completely untrue.
But what's it compelling because they say they don't see staple marks on a piece of paper?
Right.
Wow.
Dixon says it needs a new wastewater treatment plant that meets state pollution standards. Protesters claim there's an alternative, cutting the $30 million project price tag to just $500,000. The city's public works director flatly disputes that.
No.
Not even close?
No.
Why not?
Well, the level of treatment that's required, it's not the silver bullet that fixes everything.
In any case, these protesters say
They took away my right to vote.
they should be allowed to make their voices heard with a vote. And they left City Hall tonight with at least a glimmer of hope. The mayor decided that at the next council meeting, July 8th, the city council will in fact decide whether or not they're going to put this issue on the ballot and let residents decide once and for all.
Certainly seems deserving of a little bit more talk on it. Okay, Nick, thank you. New tonight, Solana County is releasing its results after a nationwide operation to crack down on child sex trafficking. Law enforcement agencies in Fairfield, Vacaville, and Sassoon teamed up and arrested 4 suspects for pimping. 1 minor was brought in, and they also made 53 other arrests for violations associated with human trafficking. New tonight, a string of arson cases in the city of Roseville has police asking for the public's help. There have been 3 incidents since May 31st. That's when a grass fire near Mahaney Park was sparked by a juvenile suspect. Another fire was set June 16th at Silverado Middle School. And just last week, someone threw a Molotov cocktail in the 2100 block of Petruchio Way. Police want to hear from anyone who might have information about any of these incidents.
1 year ago this week, an arson-fueled fire ripped through one of Roseville's most popular parks. The Maidu Park fire remains unsolved tonight, but lessons learned from that blaze are being taught to other agencies in the area.
CBS 13's Tony Lopez is live in Roseville getting answers.
It was a crazy scene last June here at Maidu Park. Embers flew onto rooftops as flames chewed through brush and trees. But something else sparked that day, a creative way of dealing with the aftermath of a fire.
During the Maidu fire, it was a wind-driven fire, and so the fire started very small.
And got big in a hurry.
Once it took off, it went
ripping through brush, torching hundreds of trees, and damaging 5 homes. 1 year later, you can still see the rooftop remnants as homeowners struggle to recover. But the open land where the arson-sparked fire ignited looks fully grown. Why is that?
Instead of investing money, we wanted to see what would just come up naturally, and then based on that, it helps us to know if we do need to do any other restorative action.
They chose not to do much, letting nature take its course. Most burned out trees were left in place to protect the still living things that call Maidu Park home.
Dead trees still provide habitat for insects and birds, which is part of the whole food chain. So if you started just removing them all, essentially you're taking away habitat.
The takeaway from the fire, the aftermath of the Maidu Park blaze will now be used as a teaching tool for other agencies in the Sacramento region, looking for answers on how to recover from an open space fire while protecting its natural habitat.
And some of that conversation will be what happens after a fire, and the group's actually going to come to the site as a site visit.
To see firsthand how once scorched land can come back to life naturally.
It's doing pretty good.
And that site visit will take place this Friday. Fire experts from around the area will come to this region of Maidu Park, check and see what was left behind and hear about what was taken away, all to help this area regrow.
Very interesting. Okay, Tony, thank you. A 4-alarm grass fire along Shady Lane in Vacaville burned 15 to 20 acres before firefighters were able to put it out. Winds quickly fueled this fire, which witnesses say was sparked by a piece of farm equipment. Firefighters haven't been able to confirm that information yet. No structures were damaged in the fire and no one was hurt. Tonight, we finally have answers about what caused that Asiana Airlines crash at SFO last year.
A final report by the NTSB was released today, and it blames the pilots for that crash. The report says the plane came down too low and too slow when it slammed into a seawall. It says all 3 pilots missed the warning signs. 3 people died. The NTSB credits first responders with saving 5 passengers trapped in the plane. But as Sharon Chin reports new tonight, they also got a lot wrong.
Let's don't go in there. Anybody's in there right now, they're dead.
NTSB investigators called it a missed opportunity when 2 fire rigs rolled over 16-year-old Ye Meng Huan when she was still alive.
A short window of opportunity for at least 2 firefighters to perform triage on passenger 41E and verify their visual assessments, but they did not do so.
And their commanding officers didn't have training in airports or airport disasters. Since then, the fire department has upgraded training.
But we can definitely take action to try and limit the secondary strikes that may occur.
First responders say today other improvements are in place. Emergency responders will now use the same radio frequency for communication. They can triage patients on the scene in new vehicles, then track them to the hospital. The airport is using a new emergency alert system, and the fire department is developing new procedures to avoid hitting victims. SFO safety director, whose own job was created as a result of the Asiana crash,
a lot of those recommendations mirrored the self-assessment that we did.
You watch the fuel, right?
Emergency crews will test the improvements all together at their annual September plane crash disaster drill. SFO also just bought the 767 training airplane for a more modern and realistic exercise.
Those lessons learned and enhancements that we made, we're going to drill to those too.
Officials with Asiana Airlines say they've already implemented all of the NTSB recommendations directed at their airline, including enhancing training for crews and flight instructions. Voters in 6 states went to the polls for primary elections today, including a closely watched runoff in Mississippi.
And some races pinned senior incumbents against relative newcomers. Christine Anderson is here with the results.
It's been a very interesting night, to say the least. And Mississippi's 76-year-old Republican Senate incumbent, Thad Cochran, that is, he eked out a win tonight. The veteran statesman defeated his Tea Party challenger. Now, in Oklahoma, Senator Jim Inhofe defeated 4 challengers to win the Republican nomination for his seat. And 2-term Congressman James Lankford, also of Oklahoma, now has a chance at the seat of retiring GOP Senator Tom Coburn.
The conservative solutions that we bring are not for a certain group. They actually work in every place in our nation.
Also in New York tonight, still waiting on the results there, 22-term Democratic Congressman Charlie Rangel is fighting back with a challenger that he beat last time by fewer than 1,100 votes. For the 3rd time in 5 days, House Republicans held a fiery hearing today on Lois Lerner's missing emails. Now, she's the former IRS official at the center of their investigation into the singling out of conservative groups before the 2012 elections. Today, Republicans focused on Jennifer O'Connor, a new White House lawyer who worked at the IRS for 6 months last year.
Just yes or no, please. You're a hostile witness. Yes or no? Were you hired?
I'm not at all a hostile witness.
Oh, yes, you are.
That's how things went this afternoon. The agency says it will turn over a total of 67,000 learner emails.
Christina, thanks. The hidden cash craze took Sacramento by storm today, and CBS 13 was there as the Twitter sensation hit the capital city. And tonight we're learning more about the man behind the movement.
CBS 13's Rob McAllister shows us his Sacramento connection and why he's giving away his money.
He made his first stop here at Sacramento State, dropping envelopes of cash all over campus. He says he came back here because it was a place he fell in love with so many years ago.
Sacramento is sort of like a second hometown for me, and I went to school here. I graduated from Sac State.
Bay Area native Jason Busey is the man behind the hidden cash scavenger hunt that is captivating people across the globe.
You know, we have a lot of bad stuff happening in the world and in the news. Just being able to kind of put a smile on people's face and give them something positive.
The idea of hidden cash started a little more than a month ago over dinner in San Francisco. Jason had just sold a big piece of real estate and wanted to give back some of his newfound fortune.
I said, let's do something, and came up with the idea of maybe hiding some money around. And I told my friend, let's put on a website. We'll give out clues.
Twitter seemed to be the perfect fit. As more and more people found cash stashed away in white envelopes, the hidden cash phenomenon started to grow.
What did you find here?
$80.
$80. You just found this.
Hidden Cash now has more than 600,000 followers on Twitter and thousands of stories from those who have found an envelope. Jason doesn't know how long it will last, but hopes he can inspire others to give more.
We definitely want to keep the spirit of it going, but is it going to look exactly like it does today with me running around hiding envelopes? Maybe not.
Well, a group of college students who found several envelopes decided to pay it forward, and they bought meals for those who are less fortunate. Before taking off, @Hidden Cash tweeted, quote, "Goodbye, Sacramento. You were great. More wonderful memories created here. I love this town. We'll be back," end quote. For more on all of today's Hidden Cash excitement, head to our website, cbssacramento.com.